What's happening in the world? Today's January 31st. My name is Reagan, and here are your past week's headlines. We began our week with stonks on their downward trend, and the whole world is in some form of chaos or another. You can file your tax returns early, and more troops and aircraft are being sent to Ukraine and thus NATO.
I think we're looking at potentially the most significant conflict that we have seen since World War II. When you look at the kind of composition, the size, the capabilities that Russia is building up on Ukraine's border, it suggests that they're preparing for a relatively significant invasion scenario where they could possibly, encircle Kiev and take half of eastern Ukraine. That's something we haven't seen in decades. In many ways, this is President Putin going back to address the outcome of the Cold War. I think he's looking to rewind time, to rewrite the rules of the European security order. I think he's looking to mitigate US influence in Eastern Europe and basically to get the United States out of what he sees as his sphere of influence.
Students in LA District have to wear surgical masks, and thus cloth masks are banned. Julian Assange wins his first stage in efforts to appeal U.S. extradition, and Thich Nhat Hanh died at 95 in his home village in Vietnam. Here's a clip of his address in Berkeley, California in the 80s.
Mindfulness is the capacity to be aware of what is happening in the present moment. If we eat mindfully, if we drink mindfully, if we do things mindfully, but we are under the light of mindfulness, we know what to do in order to bring the elements of peace and joy to our body and to our feelings. We know what not to ingest in order to prevent the toxins, the poisons to enter our body and in our consciousness.
NOAA's 2021 Arctic Report Card produced by the National Snow and Ice Data Center finds that the climate change is turning the Arctic into a dramatically different state, and tundra is becoming green. And this from Science Alert: climate change could and will open atmospheric rivers over East Asia. So buckle up. U.S. places 8,500 troops on alert for possible deployment to Eastern Europe and Russia tensions. From the European Space Agency, a mega iceberg releases 152 billion tons of fresh water as it melts into the ocean. A Disney heiress exposes Disney's shitty pay practices in a documentary.
It's the old MF Doom line: snitches telling all their business, sitting in court and being their own star witness.
And stocks keep going down Tuesday because of inflation and possible war.
All right, man, go ahead. Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Russia says, nah, we're not going to invade, even though NATO forces are put on standby. Roger 10-4 over. The BA.2 is a subvariant of Omicron detected in at least 40 countries. Deltacron. Musk's net worth is now at $241 billion. And Sir Elton John tested positive for COVID-19 and canceled 2 gigs. Here's that hot mic viral clip of Biden calling a Fox News reporter a son of a bitch.
Will you take questions on inflation then?
Let's move. Thank you. Thank you
Do you
all.
think inflation is a political liability?
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
You have to carry liability insurance if you carry a firearm in San Jose, California now. That's a first of its kind. A boat with 40 people, most likely human trafficking, capsized off the coast of Florida. And price of meat rises as companies see profits triple during the pandemic. Can anyone say price gouging? 4 companies control 85% of America's meat production to feed the masses. Sea ice, usually found in more northern and polar oceans, appeared on Tuesday in northern Greece as the country was hit by sub-zero temperatures. A video uploaded from the village of Sagiada, Thesproatia, Epirus shows a thin layer of ice on the surface of the sea, which is a rare phenomenon in Greece. Edible cannabis like CBD prevents coronavirus from entering human cells. This from the Oregon State University. So get stoned. People all over the globe are calling Joe Manchin a villain. This from The Guardian. Quote, "He's a villain. He's a threat to the globe," says Salim Hook, director of the International Center for Climate Change and Development based in Bangladesh. If you talk to the average citizen in Dhaka, they'll know who Joe Manchin is. The level of knowledge of American politics here is absolutely amazing. We know about the filibuster and the Senate and so on. What Americans do or don't do on climate will impact the world, and it's incredible that this one coal lobbyist is holding things up. It will cause very bad consequences for us in Bangladesh, unfortunately. End quote. In fact, a billionaire Republican backer donates to Joe Manchin after he kills Biden's bill. This Home Depot co-founder Ken Langone, author of I Love Capitalism, said, "Thank God for Joe Manchin."
Wow.
But it's okay, we can always rely on our pop stars because Rihanna is pledging $15 million for climate justice, so everything is okay. A slew of European presidents met for 5 hours on Wednesday trying to defuse the Russia-Ukraine crisis, and Neil Young and Joni Mitchell requested off Spotify because Joe Rogan is spreading misinformation. Bad news for coffee lovers, climate change will make it much harder to grow Arabica coffee in the coming years, according to a study published Wednesday in the scientific journal PLOS One. So no more of your favorite brew at Starbucks. The economy grew at its fastest rate since 1984 when Reagan was president. The tsunami of Fukushima caused thyroid cancer in a whole ton of people, and its citizens are suing Tokyo Electric over it. Ends up the citizens pay for the bill. A 42-year-old leaves Jeopardy with $1.2 million of winnings, a nor'easter slams the Northeast, and a Maryland mayor dies by suicide. An evangelical's wife made sex tapes with the pool boy, and 3 cops were shot in Houston. A 2-lane bridge collapsed in Pittsburgh, and personal income rose 0.3% in December, but inflation is up 5.8% from a year ago, so we lose. Toyota is building a space car, a lunar cruiser, so humans can live on the moon by 2040. Should be done by the late 2020s, just when our climate on planet Earth is completely trashed. 2,800 U.S. flights canceled on Saturday as a winter storm is set to pummel the East Coast. And then I welcomed home a kitty, and just as the Bidens welcomed home a new cat, Willow Biden. What a coinky-dink. I got one question though. Is he carbon neutral? But hot dog. Wiener Schnitzel franchise is coming to Arkansas. Wiener Schnitzel announced it's building 20 new restaurants throughout the state over the next 12 years. This from CNN and other major publications. The gas emitted from household stoves and ovens is not only dangerous to public health, but also has a much more significant impact on the climate crisis than previously thought, new research shows. The study from scientists at Stanford University found that emissions from gas stoves in U.S. homes have the same climate warming impact as 500,000 gasoline-powered cars, far more than scientists have previously estimated. Biden spoke in Pittsburgh and talked about strengthening bridges for supply chains. And Omicron deaths and infections are skyrocketing in the U.S., hitting new levels. Rockets hit Baghdad's airport, and Sundance Film Festival announces their winners. France is shocked by a Swiss photographer, René Robert, who died of hypothermia on the streets of Paris. He passed out and literally no one came to check on him for 9 hours. That's how rotten we've become, because liberal individualism, me.
Oh good, she lost her phone. She lost her phone, guys. What's up, YouTube? Like and subscribe. Dude, smash that like button. She lost her phone.
Fruition, like, takes planning, and that's not your strong suit.
Okay. Instead of that, you pay $200 a month or whatever.
Since we're married, getting married, I could put insurance on you.
Yeah, well, right. Yes.
Yeah.
And our 2 last stories of the week, of a busy week, was global carbon levels reached 420 parts per million, which is the high of concentration, which is the highest and recorded history. And North Korea at the same time test-fired their 7th missile this month, a medium-range missile putting them one step closer to nuclear of striking in the US. This has been What's Happening in the World, January 31st. My name is Reagan. Again, thanks for subscribing. Hit the like, notification bell, go to my PayPal, and consider becoming a Patreon. This is crowdfunded journalism, a quick sum up of events during the week that you need to get your next week started. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys next week on What's Happening in the World. Ciao.